everybody. It's a little bit odd that I can't, because I can't see the audience, but I thank you very much for the opportunity to say a little bit about our work here in R&D in Brazil. My presentation is about the advanced search services in collaboration with research community, creating locally, thinking globally. So this is, I want to show you a little bit of the R&D work here at RNP, the Brazilian ASREN. How we use R&D to build new advanced services, and how these advanced services and these R&D products are being are coming back to our research community and even to Brazilian population, and also are being used by others ASRENs, even in the African or African ASRENs as well. So this work was is based on this paper written by me, André Marins, and Michael Stanton, that are both part of the R&D team. Michael Stanton is our director. He has been a few times to some Ubuntu Connect forums, so maybe you have met them with him already. So first, I want to talk about a little bit about RNP. That's the Brazilian ASREN. It was created in 1989 by the Ministry of Science, Technology and Innovation in Brazil, and became a non-profit institution in 1999. It now serves, it's more than 1,000 companies, so we have, the count today is 1,219 companies, over 130 public universities, and benefiting over than 3.5 million users in Brazil. This is the R&D backbone, the IP networks. IP is the name of a famous tree in Brazil that names our backbone. R&D was the first national-wide academic backbone in Latin America. We have, you can see, I have a lot of 10 gigabits links from mainly the Brazilian country, but we have a little bit of difficulty to get with 10 gigabit links to Amazon region, but mainly all the city, all these dots in the maps are Brazilian capitals, and many links to the capitals are more than 1 gigabit. That's the main goal now for RNP, is to get with 100 gigabit for all these Amazon capitals as well. So the aggregate capacity is more than 300 gigabits, and the international capacity is 46 gigabits per second. So, and RNP is really interested in international collaboration. We have been to Internet 2 and GEAN conference for years, and in the past years we have also been presenting works in Ubuntu Connect event and the IBAN events, and we also have the opportunity to spread the products and services that we use here in Brazil to other communities. will talk a little bit later in my presentation. I also have to mention the international connectivity that we have the Rede Clara, that is the Latin American aggregate of neighborhoods that we used. I've connected through Rede Clara to Ognjen and the internet too. Have also directly linked to Miami. We have now a collocation from RP in Miami, so we can have our international exit from RP network. But it's many. It's really worth mentioning that RP is over and over trying to get more and more collaboration with the international community.
Rafael, sorry for interruption. You still have 4 minutes only. Please make sure to send the message. Thanks.
Sorry?
You are left with 4 minutes. Maximum 5 minutes, please. Thank you.
I couldn't hear, sorry. It's too low.
Please try to finish in 5 minutes.
5 minutes?
Yes.
Okay, so I thought I had 20 minutes.
You have been speaking for 6 minutes. So no.
Okay. So we have basically 3 initiatives in RP. That is the working groups programming, the thematic working groups that basically are funded by, is strategically funded by some partners and sponsors of RP. So I have these 2 thematic lines that are e-learning and e-health, and have some induced working groups that are basically induced by RP strategy. So I'm basically talking about the working groups programming now. The motivation of this programming is to complement RP Advanced Service portfolio. The university research groups propose some projects in response to an open call, and some of them are selected to be developed with financial and support by RP. We keep closely tracking of this project so that the RP really can make this product to become a service or to be used by our community. The impact of this program is a growing portfolio and close relations with the research community in Brazil. We also have documented and designed our R&D process that I will show very quickly ahead. So the goals of this program is to develop innovation projects with the aim of creating new products and services for R&D. Basically, we are related to the teams that we are really interested in, our applications, middleware, and networks, and we evaluate how these new products and services can be deployed in the production network.
So 2 minutes, please. I'm sorry, but,
okay, I have to shut down the video.
Please go ahead. 2 minutes.
Okay. And this program is annually launched as an open call for proposals. The research groups propose these projects. Both initial selection and annual evaluation are carried out by some committees, by a committee, and this committee ranks the best projects for the approval of R&D management board. So for each proposal, there are accepted, and our working group is So this, we have made a model based in the innovation funnel, where we have the opportunities that become ideas in the first phase. Then we build some prototypes. In the next phase, we build a pilot with a couple of institutions. We have another phase of pre-production when we test with more institutions and we test in the production environment, and then it becomes a product or service. So the results can be a new service that we included in the R&D service catalog, or a new product that can be on the R&D shelf and may be used by any institution or any partner of R&D. So some examples that I have to mention is we have a video class portal for efficient distribution of interactive classes. That is a product from R&D working group. We have an accessibility as a service working group that developed a service for automatic translation from Portuguese to Brazilian Sign Language. We have the working groups on videos on demand as learning objects. They developed a tool for an authoring tool to create interactive and multimedia learning objects, so that make it easy for basic teachers to create elaborated learning objects with videos, images, and interaction with the user.
That's again. If you can conclude in 1 minute, please.
Okay, I'll just go to the last slide, to the conclusion.
Please, I'm sorry.
Yeah. My final remarks is the R&D mainly outsource the development activity to research communities. So we have just a little bit of development here in R&D. And these activities are managed by the R&D directorate. So we have, I'm an R&D coordinator. We have a lot of some of R&D coordinators to keep these projects really close to the R&D interests. And we have been enabling to increase our service offerings, permitting international collaboration, enhancing our interaction with the Brazilian research community. And we have also an annual workshop here in Brazil that we showcase these products, and we keep this collaboration really close with the Brazilian community. So
okay.
that will be it.
That's great.
Thank you. And
thank you. I'm sorry for keep interrupting you, because there are other speakers who, and we'll leave the floor for people to ask later on. So thank you again for your participation. Next time we hope you will be with us physically. Now, our second speaker also will be speaking remotely, so I hope we can make it quickly with him. He will be talking about cloud infrastructure as an essential component of resource sharing for African National Research and Education Networks. Our speaker is Babatunde Omogbai. I hope I mentioned the name well. So please, I hope you can connect it quickly and start your presentation. You will have 10 minutes from now.
Hello?
Yes, hello. Babatunde, please, we're ready for you, so please share your screen and begin the presentation.
Okay. I'll do that right away.
You are welcome. I already introduced you to the participants here, so please start so that you keep the time for your presentation. You have 10 minutes, please.
I think it is on.
hear me?
Yes, yes.
Yes, we can. Go ahead, please.
Okay. Can you also see my screen?
Yes, we do.
Okay. All right then. Thanks everyone. Good afternoon. And first of all, I would like to say I hope you guys had a good lunch. I always wanted to take sessions after lunch so that there will be less conversation. And I'm sure that this will be due to the lunch and some other things that might have happened during the course of the day. As you rightly can see on your screens, my paper, my presentation is basically on cloud infrastructure as an essential component of resource sharing for African national research and education networks. Basically, the whole essence of this is for us to look at how we can actually reduce IT resources without spending too much, reducing cost, and also for us to leverage on the technologies and the benefits of having a cloud infrastructure for WACRA. I will quickly jump to slide number 2, which talks about the agenda. I will briefly look at cloud computing and what is cloud computing, what exactly do we mean by cloud computing, and what are the different services we can have from cloud computing. Then I will jump through the WACRA core network, just taking a picture of what we are proposing to have as WACRA core backbone network. Then I will look at what I'm proposing as a WACRA community cloud, which is how can we actually look at the nitty-gritty of putting together, piecing together a cloud infrastructure for WACRA. We will look at benefits of a community cloud, and I will also go through an end user case, which is most likely a university or a tertiary institution that will be connected to an end that is connected to WACRA. So I know that we would have heard enough about cloud computing, what it is all about, and I will just jump to slide number 4. This is trying to define what cloud computing is. Basically, there are different ways of defining this depending on where you see it from. The CFO will see it from a different perspective, the technical engineer will see it from a different perspective, and the board of directors will see it from a different perspective. But basically, cloud computing is a new way for us to consume IT services. IT services have always been consumed by different organizations, by different end-range and research networks, or wherever you have IT services for you to be able to drive productivity and also bring about you using resources from IT to do your work. But with cloud computing, we're talking about a new way, a new model for us making use of these IT services. And these are typically based on, these services are installed software and we can connect to it and consume them. How we do that is what we're going to be looking at. And basically, these services include the dynamic, scalable, and often virtualized resources as a service. So we are not going to be looking at IT services as a kind of like investment in the infrastructure, which is I need to buy a server, I need to buy a CD, I need to run the server, I need to run some application on it. We are going to be looking at it from a different model on how cloud computing will organize this for us to use as an organization. Then we look at it as a network connectivity, which is how do we connect to this cloud computing and how are we able to use these services. So basically, for slide number 4 is just trying to put together a definition for cloud computing, which is what I have just gone through. Then we have to look at the different types of cloud. We've got the private, the hybrid, public, and the community cloud. What exactly do these things mean? Private cloud, hybrid cloud, public cloud, and community cloud. Then slide 6 I try to define which is, what is a private cloud? This is like, a private cloud is like you setting up a piece of IT infrastructure where you have your own data center on premise. And which is you have your servers, you provide power, you provide the applications, you provide the connectivity to the users, and your users are within your organization, and everything is closed up to that organization, which is consuming the IT resource. The differences with this is that currently we have a situation whereby organizations currently have IT infrastructures like they have different data centers, but
when they bring about virtualizing these resources and providing a scalable way, a dynamic way of scaling these resources, and this connectivity is now available, there's connectivity to these resources across any form of network, that's when you can say you have a private cloud. Sorry
for
you have to provide your own.
Sorry for interrupting you, but you still have 5 minutes. Please try to conclude in 5 minutes. Thank you.
Sorry?
You have 5 minutes, please.
So I'll just quickly run through the slides.
I'm sorry,
so for the private cloud, we have this. Sorry, I said something. Let someone say something.
My friend, I'm sorry. You still have 5 minutes to finish, complete your presentation, please.
Oh, okay. I've got 5 minutes. I'm just going to breeze through. Thanks, Yousef. So, slide number 7 shows what a public cloud is and all the different infrastructure you have to write for a public cloud. Then, the main cloud type, which is what we're proposing for ASREN, is a community cloud. This is when different ASRENs come together, bring their requirements together for us to build a cloud infrastructure that would answer virtually all their requirements and objectives. Then for slide number 9, I'm looking at hybrid cloud, which is we might have some other institutions like universities that already have their cloud infrastructure and who probably want to leverage on ASREN's cloud for them to be able to do inter-cloud fabric or to be able to host into ASREN's cloud. This is what you call an hybrid cloud. For the different services you want to have in the cloud, you want to have infrastructure as a service, platform as a service, software as a service, desktop as a service, and now which is network as a service, which are provided by some other CDNs and like I've actually stated there. Slide number 11, we look at defining what infrastructure as a service is, which we can all go back and read this because time is of essence on this. Then we look at infrastructure as a service for us to be able to provide services where you have services in the data center, you provide the compute, you provide all the infrastructure for the user to be able to connect to. Slide number 12 is platform as a service, which is you have a hosted application environment where you to be able to build and deploy software, and you have some other providers that are currently doing this, like Microsoft Azure and Amazon Web Services or Amazon Elastic 2. Slide number 3 looks at software as a service, also looking at providing software like Google Apps, which is software as a service, and Salesforce. Slide number 14 is actually the characteristics of why you want to have a cloud. What should your cloud have? We have on-demand services, which is you want to give the services as of when it is needed to the user. You have a multi-tenancy environment, which is you can have multiple users using these resources and pulling from different resources at the same time, which is you are not restricted to just one user at a particular time or having data services there. You have the ability for you to be able to scale as of needed, which is you can actually scale your services or probably reduce your services as of when you need it. And the location-dependent resource pooling is the user doesn't really need to know where exactly the physical infrastructure is seated. The ubiquitous network access is you can have connectivity to your cloud anytime, anywhere, using any type of device, either you're using a mobile, laptop, or any other device you want to use for connectivity. And the good part of cloud computing is you always pay for what you use. You don't have to buy a server that is 10 gig RAM if you don't need a 10 gig RAM. So you always pay the provider for the services used and nothing more than that. Slide number 15 is where I looked at, let's look at a proposed cloud infrastructure for ASREN, which is we're looking at what exactly should we have for us to be able to put together the cloud infrastructure for ASREN. One, we should have a high capacity backbone network, which is what ASREN is currently working on. This capacity is needed to interconnect not just the end range, but to interconnect also the data centers and the cloud data centers at the core. Then we need to build ourselves the next generation data center, NGDC, which is we will need the physical hardware, virtualization, management tools, and whatever workloads we want to put on this infrastructure. Slide number 17 looks at the picture of the ASREN network, which is very good. This is what I got from the Technical Committee on Connectivity, OMO, to be precise. And it looks at the proposed network and how the network is going to be set up. And on this proposed network infrastructure, I have an overlay of what the cloud connectivity will look like, which is we're looking at the ability for us to provide cloud data centers in either Lagos, in Accra, and in Dakar, or probably in Cameroon, depending on which of the core location we want to deploy these data centers. And we can have connectivities from the different endpoints, the public internet, and also from GIANT and all other national research and regional or national research and education networks. Slide 19, I'm looking at what exactly are the service framework you want to put on your NGDC. First, you have the physical layer, physical hardware layer, which is you have to talk about the storage, you have to talk about the computing, you have to talk about your networking. What are these pieces of kit that you want to use? Then the other part, the next level is you have to talk about virtualizing this hardware resource and the management and the workload you want to put on it. Slide number 20, this is what we have done. We mean that where I have worked in, where I have designed a cloud infrastructure, irrespective of whatever computer storage you have used, you can look at from the network point of view for you to be able to virtualize your data center network. You can decide to leverage on the Cisco API, which is the ACI. It's a very good infrastructure to use. Then also, you can also leverage on the UCS Director, which is what I've used in the past, and I can also recommend that as a good automation and orchestration for your cloud environment. Slide 21.
I'm not happy to interrupt you, but please, 1 minute. I will give you 1 more minute. I'm not happy for that. I'm enjoying your presentation.
Okay.
Please, 1 minute.
Okay. All right, Yousef. I'll just fly through. So slide 21 looks at the infrastructure, the way that people look at it. Then slide 22 is where I propose the stack ownership on how do end-rents want to look at the different stacks on the cloud. This is a very good, important slide for end-rents to look at what exactly they want to do, what do they want to take ownership for, what do they want to pay for, and this is one of the key questions that you will get from the GARNET document on the strategy for end-rent cloud. Slide number 23 is where I tried as much as 24 is the benefit, which is you can actually go through that at your own spare time. Looks at the benefits for cloud for not only the end rent but also for the end user, which are mostly universities, research centers that sit behind universities connected to ASREN. Slide 25, here I tried as much as possible to put together a use case for a university I've called XYZ University and the different services they have to provide, which is university website, they've got department, faculty, students, and what IT resource would they be able to provide. And these are the use cases which I've actually put together in 26 and slide 27 also, where we can have cloud services for end rent and the end users end rent, where I have also listed the different centralized IT services like centralized DHCP, DNS, and authentication, radius authentication, TACAX, or whatever authentication we're going to put in place for the different services that we can possibly have in this environment.
Please join me in thanking. Okay, that's great. Join me in thanking Babatunde. Thank you again. If you would like to stay until the end of the session, then you can receive questions. But now we will go to the next speaker who will be physically with us. He will be speaking about from national to global infrastructures. I don't think I need to introduce you. Everybody knows you.
Hi everybody that knows me.
I have 2 minutes.
I have 2 minutes, yeah. I decided to do this presentation remotely, so I will go to Ile de Gorée. I'll try to dial up the Skype. And then, okay, let me, so this is called From National to Global E-Infrastructures. It's basically a case study starting from the Greek Research and Education Network, so this is the Greek NRN, the way we have organized ourselves, and then how this expands from national to regional Southeast Europe, which is very much like Western Africa in many ways, in terms of let's say the level of development, all the hurdles ahead of it, and so on and so forth, and the number of the countries as well, up to all the level to the pan-European and global level of infrastructures. Now, there is no really, there is not that much time, so some of the things I will have to skip before Yousef tells me. So I have to finish. So let's see. Where is this? Slideshow. Okay. So, as I said, I will just very briefly go through the Greek National Research and Education Network case study and then show how this integrates regionally and then wider on the European level and even wider on the global level. So we are the NRN. We are owned by the Ministry of Education, the German Secretariat of Research and Technology. We are non-profit, and our main goal is to establish e-infrastructure services for the Greek research and research and education academic communities. So we go beyond the connectivity. As Tusu said, connectivity is a basic thing now. It's like oxygen, and we go one step beyond that to provide other types of value-added services on top of this. We were one of the first national research and education networks in Europe which did this step ahead to expand the level of services that we provide. So our main task is still the networking. So we have more than 150 organizations connected and 15,000 schools. We have about 500,000 end users. We have a dark fiber backbone with long-term IRUs, and we cover a number of spots. This is more than 50 POPs in the country. So 9,000 kilometers of fiber, 50 POPs. We have 15-year long IRUs. And we have 10 gigabits, some of the 10 gigabits connections to the power users as well. So on top of this network, we decided to expand in our service offering to computing technologies, which I'll be focusing on. So we have grid computing, we have cloud computing, which was just spoken about in the previous presentation, and there could be some lessons learned from our case for the Wacker future cloud deployment, and we have the high-performance computing as well. So grid computing is something which is slowly becoming a legacy. So we still have 7 clusters, so these are Unix computing clusters distributed throughout the country, which are linked together using specific middleware, and we have around altogether 600 cores and 200 terabytes of storage. This is getting slowly obsolete, but this was the first distributed computing technology that we have deployed. And this has been then linked further on the regional level and on the pan-European level, as I will explain in a second. Then the high-performance computing infrastructure, we have just procured a supercomputer. This is a 180 teraflop supercomputing system, which is one of the top was one of the top 500 supercomputers in the world. Just a couple of months ago. It's not anymore, but it supports a wide range of scientific disciplines which require massively parallel computational power. And finally, the third computing technology after the grid and high-performance computing is the cloud computing. So here we have the biggest research and education cloud in Europe. This is called the service is called Ognjen. So this delivers infrastructure as a service, virtual machines and virtual networks and virtual disks. So very much like the case study really presented of what are the requirements for Wacker, it is reflected here. We also have the aim to serve the IT departments of connected institutions, the university students, civil researchers, and so on and so forth, by providing them virtual infrastructure as a service. Right? So this is a really big data center. We have 84 racks and 1,200 servers, and right now there are 10,000 virtual machines which are active. So 10,000 people effectively use the infrastructure, and 5 petabytes of storage. So we provide this compute network storage and security as virtual machines, virtual Ethernet, virtual disk with firewalls, and then you can build within the cloud infrastructure your particular configuration that you want. We also provide cloud storage because with the advent of big data, we have a lot of data-intensive science, so we support 50 or 100 gigabytes per user in file structures and groups. So this service is called PITO, so this is cloud-based storage. So we have 3 data centers. These are just some snapshots of data centers. So this is just very briefly, I have shown that beyond connectivity, which what is one NRN provides, GARNET has made a step forward to provide different types of computing services and storage services for research and education communities. And this has been really a good selling point for us on many levels. And so we go beyond simple connectivity, and this has strengthened our position very much. So after that, we also, in Greek Research and Technology Network, we also coordinate the regional initiatives in Southeast Europe. So this is about 15 countries which are, have gone through the war in the 90s. You remember the wars in ex-Yugoslavia, ex-Balkans, and so on, and the Caucasus as well. So it goes all the way to the Caspian Sea. So the situation here is that we have put together the collaboration with these countries, for 15 countries in the region, in order to advance the infrastructure developments on all levels, from the network to the computing and beyond. So we had a regional networking project. This was 10 years ago. We set up, connected all the NRNs between themselves and to GARNET, and laid some of the cross-border fibers as well in the region. Then we had a series of grid projects which connected available computing capacity grid clusters in the region together to provide it to a number of cross-disciplinary user communities. And international user communities, so international collaborations. This is just a snapshot of this area, this region, with each box is a computing cluster which is connected together to share the resources between the countries. And we also divided the operations of this distributed computing infrastructure between different institutions, so there is a joint responsibility and ownership of work, which is very important. Then regarding the supercomputing, again, we had a series of projects where we set up, so we had 3 big supercomputing installations, still have 3 big supercomputing installations in the region, where we similarly share these highly, massively parallel supercomputers. Yeah? So these are managed together, they're shared together. So distributed management, again, joint responsibility and joint ownership of the work. And then the most important thing is the transnational usage. So these facilities are open for transnational usage. And this graph just shows, the blue bar shows how much a country uses of its own installation. And then the red bar shows what is the neighboring countries who are using this installation. So as you can see, in some cases, the installations are more open to the researchers across the borders than they're actually open to national researchers. I mean, they're open to everybody, but they're actually used more by the international researchers. So this is a very valuable, very big advantage for regional corporations to have this kind of sharing and to be able to open up the installations to people from other countries who might not have access to the resources that they need for their computational research. And finally, on this regional level, what we're doing is that we put together now this project. VCM started just 6 months ago, or maybe a little bit less, which brings together all these technologies. So the computing technologies of grid and cloud and supercomputing, and links these installations together in a kind of layered architecture where you have the networking, the regional network, which is basically a subset of GARNET, providing networking, and then you have different computing technologies available for different types of research that might be needed. And then on top of that, we have a data layer which provides the full life cycle of data management for 3 specific communities in this case of this project, which is climatology, life sciences, and digital cultural heritage. So a user, when the end user comes to this environment, again, on the regional level of these 15 countries altogether, very much like the Western region, you can imagine it, the user can come in and they can see what are the computing facilities that are available for me to use, depending on the type of computing that I need, what are the storage facilities available, what are the codes and applications that I might run, what are the toolkits, libraries, what are the data sets that I can access in these particular 3 communities that we deal with, and what are my active projects. So this is what a user can actually see. So I will not just repeat this. It's a large infrastructure. All this is provided behind this end user views. And here I'm just saying, listing a number of applications that use. So regional climate modeling, global climate modeling, air pollution, quality. Then from life sciences we have modeling and molecular dynamics studies, computer-aided drug design, analysis of next generation DNA and RNA sequencing data. And so on and so forth. And then we have also cultural heritage. We have big cultural heritage digital libraries which are just being connected now to the infrastructure. So also providing interactive visualization of digital artifacts and cultural artifacts and so on, image classification. So diverse fields of science and also social sciences too. So in this part of super fast presentation I have just explained how regional collaboration can link together in a kind of geographical area similar to that Wacker can link together the national facilities for the added value of researchers. And now on the pan-European level, of course, then we're linked to pan-European level, which I will not go into details. We know that in GARNET network, in terms of computing, there is European grid infrastructure. In terms of grid computing, in terms of supercomputing, there is something called PRACE, which links the supercomputers on the European level. So we are also part of, through our regional collaborations, we are also part of the pan-European collaborations. And finally, the worldwide integrations. So just very briefly, one of the projects that is running currently, and Cathrin is a partner as well, it's a MAGIC project, which is middleware for collaborative applications and global virtual communities. And in this project, one of the sub-objectives is to develop models for interoperation between the NRN application markets of the participating world regions, which are actually all the world regions, so that the applications can be shared. So what we're doing in MAGIC, we're developing a service catalog. So I have to take a step back and say that also in this Southeast European regional initiatives that I described, we're also providing everything as a service. So the user comes and they also see a set of services, as I showed in one of the previous slides. What is it that they can access? So in MAGIC, we are also trying to do that. So through the service catalog, and we are going to provide application service sharing platform via this service catalog, where people can come. Right now, we have in the service catalog, the candidates are services which are more to do with global collaboration platforms, so like Rapporteur or DocuWiki or file senders, things like that, to facilitate the global collaboration, to just tools for specifically global collaborations. But we will look into extending this cloud catalog, this catalog also to include cloud installations if there are cloud infrastructure as a service provisioning or platform as a service or software as a service provisions in the regions. So we'll expand that. And this is based on the GAN cloud catalog, which we run in GARNET as well. So you can log in with a federated identity, and then you can see what are the services that are available for sharing globally, and what are the conditions of their access. So Yousef, are you happy? But allow me to wrap up for another 20 minutes. So it was really fast, and I'm sorry about this. I thought that I would have a little bit more time to do this. But I think that I presented this Greek NRN use case, the case study for the national level development, showing how we can go beyond connectivity to provide other services to our end users. Then I discussed the regional integrations, which is Southeast Europe, the region of 15 countries, set of projects that we actually set up in order to, in the last decade, at least was lasting, in order to enhance the regional collaborations. So in this use case, regional use case that I presented, Cathrin and its partners can really, I think, learn from this, and definitely Cathrin is something which can act as a center of gravity for the technologies, such as our projects that I presented do, but also for the community, and this is even more important. And these kind of national developments and regional integrations then set the path towards worldwide infrastructures and integrations. And on the worldwide level, there are different global infrastructures that are accessible by researchers. And resource sharing is really the key. Yeah? So this openness of resources and resource sharing across the borders is, in my opinion, key to this. And I have presented this current VC project, which provides a virtual research environment for resource sharing. And finally, I just touched a little bit on the MAGIC project, which provides the global catalog, which aspires to provide in the near future a global catalog of collaborative applications and services. And to this catalog also the Western African countries will be able to contribute. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Ognjen. I would like to thank you and invite you to come to this hot seat. The question will be later. Okay, prepare more questions. I would like to invite Cathrin now. You are the last speaker, but again, I will not nag on time. I will do my best to be silent.
That's all right, Yousef. Okay, so you're getting used to me by now. I'm actually going to also chair the last, I'm also going to chair the I'm going to chair the last session, so by the end of the evening, you're probably heavily sick of me. I'm going to present to you Africa Connect 1 and 2. And I've decided to do that because Africa Connect 2 has just really recently started and there's not a lot to fill 20 minutes. So I thought I'd tell you the results about Africa Connect 1, and then you understand what could happen in West Africa if we all sit in one boat and get this going in a similar way as we've got it going in the UbuntuNet Alliance. Just again, you know, this is where I come from, the GARNET network. A lot of people have shown this before, so I don't need to come back to that, but this is my home ground. Originally I'm from Germany, but I live in Spain. I work in England in an African project, and that's when it becomes all very confusing. But I want to go back to 2008 because I've been in GARNET now for almost 20 years, and certainly the pan-European network when I started didn't look like that at all. In 1997 when I started we had 12 connections, and we called that network 1034 because one of the links between Frankfurt and Geneva had 34 megabits per second. The rest of it was very, very low connectivity. And in a similar way, if you look at the world picture in 2008, this is when we really started talking to the European Commission about this blank here in Africa. You know, we had Red Clara, we had connectivity to Tain, the Asian Pacific area, but in Africa we really only connected some of the Northern African countries through the UMET Connect project, and we had a single link out of Africa which came at that time from Tenet in South Africa, but that was it. And that was the problem statement that we brought to the European Commission. And here you see Tuzu and me smiling because we got the money for Africa Connect 1. But I want to just point out it took us 5 years of preparation, 5 years of lobbying with the European Commission to get anything out of them. So today, you know, being able to say we've got Africa Connect 1, we've got Africa Connect 2, it sounds so easy, but it's not. You know, it's a lot of lobbying effort. So what did Africa Connect 1 actually achieve? And I would like to point out, you know, we always talk connectivity, but really, you know, the most important thing, and I wouldn't necessarily say that Africa Connect is the reason for it, but it contributed, is community. And I think the community that we are seeing here now being built up in WACRN is a very, very good start as well. The community that was built up in Southern and Eastern Africa over the lifetime of the UbuntuNet Alliance, and then with a little bit of help through the funding from Africa Connect, I think is the most important achievement, because before you build networks, you need to build the network of people. You need to build the network of trust. So we had regular meetings. The UbuntuNet conference has grown crazy, and I hope that the WACRN conference will grow in a similar way. The Nuance newsletter, I think, has been one of the best achievements of the UbuntuNet Alliance, and completely independent of Africa Connect. Tivonge has been the Mr. Nuance newsletter, and it is a very good resource, and if WACRN could start also having a newsletter, I would very much encourage that. And during the lifetime of the community and the growing of Africa Connect and the involvement in Southern and Eastern Africa, also WACRN became more and more engaged. And at the end of the Africa Connect 1 project, we could actually fund WACRN activity for 1 year. So that was very good. But I'm particularly fond of the fact that the interaction's not only been with GARNET, it's not only been with me, but there's increasingly always been interaction with the Latin Americans and the Asian Pacific community. And we've had various Latin Americans here. I think Carmen is still here. Gustavo was here, so this is ongoing. And that is very, very good, because they've gone through exactly the same history as the UbuntuNet Alliance was and as WACRN is now. And every time we can learn. So then at least, you know, we can say West Africa is not making the same mistakes as have been made somewhere else. Make your own mistakes. But also connectivity. And this is really, you know, this is the ideal topology as came out of the UbuntuNet Alliance after a retreat that was held in Joburg in 2011. And then by the end of 2015, this is the network of the UbuntuNet Alliance as created by Africa Connect. It doesn't show you all the additional links that countries have brought into in addition. And this is the planned connectivity for Southern and Eastern Africa, which the UbuntuNet Alliance is going to develop through the lifetime of Africa Connect 2. But you can really see that, the continent is filling up. And this is hope, this is the same sort of thing that we would like West Africa to go through. Important also, when the Ubuntu Alliance built their network, not a single European network was involved, not a single European engineer was involved in the implementation or the operations. So this is done entirely by Africans in the African continent. And you can see Joe Kimaili boldly going where African engineers had not gone before. And I think that's very important. And today the UbuntuNet network is managed by the Tenet NOC in South Africa, but we hope that during Africa Connect 2, actually the UbuntuNet Alliance will develop its own NOC. In a similar way, we would hope always that WACRN will have no need to rely on European engineers too much. We're always here to help, but it's actually a much better approach if it can be done by Africans in Africa. Another very important one, and this is where Africa Connect 1 leads to Africa Connect 2, we got an enormous amount of recognition worldwide. So World Bank funding has been made increasingly available to emerging NRENs. We've just had the case of Somalia, we hear about the case in Mali, we have hope that the World Bank is going to have far more interaction with West African NRENs as they develop. The European Commission made funding available for partner projects to Africa Connect, such as Tandem, Magic and Sky Gaia. We were able to negotiate Africa Connect 2. Google has gotten involved and helped the Kampala fiber rollout. Google has also been involved and has given awards to GARNET in Kenya. We receive ongoing support from the NSF for the work that the NSRC is carrying out. And I think that also contributes very much to the success of all of this. The UN Technology Bank has recognized NRENs and regional RENs as vehicles for them to deliver their services. So actually we've got UN institutions talking about NRENs these days. And we have had a new collaboration with Research for Life, which makes scientific publications available for free or at reduced rates to most of the sub-Saharan countries. And we've, in Southern and Eastern Africa, together with the NSRC, the UbuntuNet Alliance and INASP, and also in collaboration with AFNOC, an enormous amount of training has taken place. Joe Kimaili has estimated that over 1,000 engineers were trained during the lifetime of Africa Connect. And if I look at, how many people we train in Europe, 1,000 engineers, that's an enormous amount of people. And how is that done? It is via train-the-trainer aspects. Everybody who gets training in the UbuntuNet Alliance through Africa Connect with the support of the NSRC and INASP goes home and trains another set of engineers nationally. And that again is something that we want to follow here in West Africa, because this way we can really make an impact. You train 1,000 engineers, that is an impact. And we've also made sure that the management and the CEOs in the UbuntuNet Alliance get the support and the training they need to develop the vision that Tuzu has explained this morning so wonderfully, to see the function and not the form, to start discussing what's really important, to look at what's my business model, do I have a business here? So this conversation, that's something very important which we would like to see in Africa Connect 2 to continue. And a lot of things have been done for the communications and the visibility. I can assure you people in Brussels speak fluently Africa Connect, and that's very good. They understand what this is about, they understand the impact the project has, and it's very important. We have the website, the UbuntuNet Alliance has a website, WACRN of course has a website, ASREN has a website, we have a newsletter, we constantly have articles in the GARNET Connect magazine. If you've opened your little booklet, your bag, there's a Connect magazine in there. You can count how many times Africa has actually been referenced there. It's quite a lot. In Europe, people know about Africa Connect, they know about the UbuntuNet Alliance, about WACRN and about ASREN, about what we're doing. And we've not stopped here. My colleague Manu has asked me to make sure that you all see also this brochure. We have it in French, Connecter les communautés africaines de l'éducation et de la recherche. please, there are more brochures out there. If you need to take any home, make sure that you take enough. And otherwise, if you don't get enough, let us know, we will send them to you. So, that's the picture then in 2015. You remember the one from 2008? So this looks a little better. The entire continent is no longer blank, but we still have an issue, and that is Western Africa. And that's why Africa Connect 2 is here now, because the African challenge remains. This is a nice map which has been produced by the World Bank, and it shows the interest the World Bank has in NRENs. They have time enough to sit down and make a map. So what you see here really is the lighter the color, the more advances an NREN. Now, I know maps are really dangerous because everybody looks for their own country on the map and immediately disagrees. So, I'm now hiding behind the World Bank. It's the World Bank view of the picture. Tim, if you're in the room, forgive me. So, but what it is interesting here is that you have the different colors. The red color here is the zone of the UbuntuNet Alliance, green is WACRN, and the yellow-orange bit really is the ASREN region. And the lighter the color, South Africa is very light, Zambia is very light, Kenya is very light. We see, or the World Bank sees, that this is a developed NREN in country. And what we see really is that in West Africa we still have quite a lot of dark. So that is something that we need to change. This picture is even more striking, and these are the 2013-2014 numbers from the United Nations on internet penetration in some of the countries. And according here, in Niger, we have only 1.7% internet penetration. That basically means that not a lot of people have internet access. This is broadband internet access. This is not your 3G, 2G on your mobile phone. This is what you get at home. So it's very little. But then I have hope for Niger. I think we're going to make changes there. In a similar way, Somalia, 1.6% internet penetration, but they have created an NREN now. They're working with the World Bank. They will get connectivity to the UbuntuNet Alliance. So Africa Connect 2. It's a 3.5-year project. We started in 2015. We're going to end through 2018-19. You say, why is she not certain about this? The reason for that is that these sort of projects normally get extended. We have 3 clusters, Southern and Eastern Africa, which is led by the UbuntuNet Alliance, by Pascal and his team, Tibonge and Joe. We have Western Central Africa, and that is contracted to us at GARNET, but we don't take any step without WACRN and Boubacar and Omo making sure that we are taking the right steps. And then there's North Africa, again led by GARNET, but very close collaboration with Yousef and the ASREN team. The contract value is 26.6 million. This is interesting because these are the funding levels. Because we get 26.6 million, but then it means that the West African countries need to put a contribution onto the table. These projects are self-inclusive. Your country can participate and benefit from Africa Connect if your country finds the counter-contribution. That is very important. These projects are not for free. You need to find a counter-contribution. Why is that? Because it needs to be yours. If something is free, you don't really own it. If something is free, you don't value it. So having a counter-contribution is good because your government needs to think about, do we really want that? And I would encourage anybody who's here from government to really see internet connectivity today as something, as Tuzu says, it should be as available as the oxygen, as available as water. It took us again an enormous amount of time to negotiate this contract. Why is that? Because we need to have the European Commission do certain things. We want to sign IRUs. The Commission cannot easily do that, so we need to have them change their rules for us. So it took us a year of negotiation, which is already better from the 5 years it took us to get to Africa Connect 1. And we're a good team. We had the second coordination meeting yesterday. This is a very recent photo from yesterday. They're standing under the trees and the palm trees here in Dakar. And we work together really well, and that gives me an enormous amount of hope, because Africa comes together in Africa Connect. We learn from the Internet Alliance, we learn from ASREN, we see what WACRN can take, what WACRN should not take, what we can do together, and that's a very good approach. What have we done so far? We've carried out a lot of procurement, information notices. I mean, in the end, these projects are mainly procurement projects and training projects. We procure connectivity. So for Western Central Africa particularly, we carried out a network retreat in Gorée, where also people from America were present, people from the Caribbean were present, to really support the project. Connectivity to North Africa has been upgraded to Algeria. We've just received tender results from Tunisia. Exxon is here because they're hoping that they're going to sign another equipment contract, but we have to go through procurement for this first. But we're getting there. This is a procurement exercise that we're taking very seriously. And of course, also the training has already started. In Nigeria, we ran in September a very completely oversubscribed course on network monitoring and measuring, and I think Antoine is going to speak about that tomorrow. Is that right? No, he nods, yes. There's regular training events ongoing in the Internet Alliance. We've updated the Africa Connect 2 website. Have a look at africaconnect2.net. And we are having our meetings. We're getting to know each other. It's also for me, I have to get to know a whole amount of new people in new countries, new culture. I have to speak French and listen to French all the time. So this is all starting, it's very interesting. A lot of visibility has started happening. My colleague Manuela is here. She will chase you for all sorts of information because we want to make this project very visible, because we're hoping to convince the Commission to have funding for Africa Connect 3. And that would be great. And that only works if we're visible, if our success is visible. So we have online and offline presence. We have a Twitter account. Follow us on Africa Connect 2. We're on Facebook. And what we need is really advocates out of the African region. So if you're doing anything, if you're anywhere on social media, let us know, because we would like to hear your story and follow up on that. With that, I'm inviting you to our European equivalent event. WACRN conference is very good, and the TNC, which we're going to host in Prague this year, is also a very good event. If you're free in June, please make sure to put this event into your calendar. And here's again our detail. Thank you very much for your attention.
I would like to invite you here for some questions, but before that I would like to invite Cisco's representative. Is Cisco around? So we have some minutes. We would like to thank you for sponsoring the event.
You're welcome.
So please, the floor is yours for 2 to 3 minutes. Great, thank you. Meanwhile, regarding the map that was prepared by the World Bank, I witnessed some part of it. Actually, the guy, Michael Khoury, made intensive research in Africa to make this map. So I think most of the data is coming from the countries themselves. So I don't think that we need to hide behind the World Bank. It's an effort. I would like to mention that's one of them is Michael Khoury. He is one of the interested people to support Africa. Maybe it started with maybe some efforts, but there was a lot of input from the countries themselves and their representatives.
Bien. On va essayer de faire en français pour rééquilibrer un peu. Donc déjà, merci beaucoup en fait de nous avoir invités. Donc, cher Rafael, je suis en charge des partenariats Cisco Afrique de l'Ouest, Afrique du Centre. Cathrin Nangué, responsable de notre programme Network Academy. Donc, D'abord, en fait, pour ceux qui ne connaissent pas Cisco, c'est aujourd'hui, Cisco a 500 professionnels en fait en Afrique, avec un réseau de partenaires d'à peu près 2000 partenaires qui sont en fait en Afrique avec un seul but, c'est d'accélérer l'innovation à travers la construction d'infrastructures numériques modernes, fiables et sécurisées. Donc, quel historique est-ce qu'on a en fait dans l'accompagnement aujourd'hui de ces centres universitaires? J'aimerais juste rappeler peut-être quelques exemples pour voilà, ceux qui découvrent peut-être Cisco. Nous avons accompagné notamment le projet d'interconnexion des universités du Sénégal. Nous avons fait le projet e-Educ en Côte d'Ivoire. Donc on a quand même en fait pas mal de références où Cisco a montré son engagement auprès des centres universitaires en Afrique. C'est juste donc, je viens en fait porter le message pour réitérer l'engagement de Cisco et pour rappeler que ASREN peut compter entièrement sur l'expertise de Cisco et son accompagnement pour l'accomplissement en fait de ce projet d'interconnexion. Donc je vais juste passer la balle à Cathrin qui va peut-être partager la pertinence en fait des actions qu'on mène dans le domaine universitaire en Afrique.
Merci cher, bonjour à tous une fois de plus. Alors en Afrique nous avons le programme qui s'est connecté qui existe déjà depuis plus de 10 ans. On peut dire à partir de 2001 on a eu les premières universités connectées. Et c'est un programme qui dans le monde réunit déjà plus d'1 million d'apprenants chaque année inscrits. Alors si on va aller dans les détails, on pourrait avoir la pertinence par région. Je pense que la région la plus connectée sont les États-Unis. Mais l'Afrique est toujours à la traîne en termes de volume de personnes formées. Et si on va en faire les statistiques, au monde, nous avons 165 pays où le programme existe, plus de 20 000 instructeurs, enseignants formés, plus de 4 millions de personnes déjà formées depuis le début, 100 millions d'examens activés chaque jour, 10 000 institutions partenaires académiques, 19 langues. En Afrique subsaharienne, nous avons plus de 200 000 personnes, techniciens déjà formés, 105 000 étudiants actifs, à l'heure où je parle, 28% de ce volume d'étudiants, c'est féminin, 890 instructeurs actifs, 39 pays sur 49, et puis 510 institutions partenaires. Alors le programme est un programme qui va des bases, en technicien IT, jusqu'au niveau très élevé de professionnels réseau. Donc c'est ce que nous appelons chez nous le CCNP, qui est un de nos curriculums phares. On a d'autres cursus qui sont intégrés au cursus phare sur les réseaux, à savoir les compétences techniques et surtout des compétences professionnelles comme le problem solving, l'entrepreneuriat et les techniques de communication. Tout ça est intégré dans une plateforme nouvelle que nous avons mis sur pied et je crois que c'est un accompagnement de taille pour le ASREN. Merci.
Thank you for making it 2 minutes. Very kind sponsor and very good presentation on time. Now I would like to leave the floor for you, the audience. If you have any question, we have all the speakers still present. So the other remote speakers are not connected now. So the floor is yours. If there is any question.
Just a comment, maybe kind of half question for Cathrin. It's about the point you raised about the expertise in having the Ubuntu-net NOC and having people working there. Is this going somewhere? Because in my opinion, also this is the most important thing of all, is to have the technical people on the ground, either on regional, well, both in regional level and national level. And as part of this thing that I have presented, this distributed ownership and management of the infrastructure, whatever it is, is key.
Okay, so the question was about the Ubuntu-net Alliance NOC and to what extent that's going to happen. As far as I am informed, it is absolutely something that will be happening because it is one of the next steps of the Ubuntu-net Alliance to grow their engineering expertise. And in a similar way, we've just had the discussion on Monday in the Africa Connect meeting for Western Central Africa, where I have emphatically said that WACRA needs to have a NOC in Western Central Africa and that possibly running any operations out of Europe is a very, 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 very remote plan B. I strongly believe in engineers. I believe in people that build a network of people, and I believe in engineers who keep the network running. In the end, research and education networks are not about politicians, they are not about government, they are about supporting science, and for supporting science you need networks that are run by engineers. And therefore the engineers are the community that we need to support most. It's most important to have engineers on the ground. There's a comment from Tuzu.
Yes, just firmly updating that the Alliance secured space in Makerere University, formally already, and using internal resources, they are starting on the basics. So this is definitely happening. It's not an if or when it's going on.
Great. Any other questions? So I think we need to have a short break, but before that I would like to let you know that the lunch will be, the dinner will be served at 7:30, and there will be, the first bus will leave from the Novotel Hotel at 6:30. 6:30. So the first, I think the first bus.
And the last bus?
You can catch the last bus when it comes back, so it's good for you to catch it later tonight. So this puts Cathrin in a challenge to finish the session on time.
Okay, so for the gala, you need to go to the secretariat to collect the invitation. Otherwise, you will not be allowed to enjoy the or to even go to the dinner. So please pass by the secretariat to collect an invitation for the dinner.
Okay, and as I'm the last chair of the last session, can I ask everybody to be on time really, so that we can get the session done, so that there's a good half an hour for everybody to catch the first bus? Okay, thank you. Yeah, Boubacar is nodding, so everything good. Good, thank you.
Okay, join me in thanking our speakers again.